earlier in the week with a party of one. So I'm live with him currently right now. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick? How's that sound? Just let us know what you're all about, what got started. Just a little bio.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I started YouTube about 6 months ago, seriously,
Mm.
and I'm kind of red pill MGTOW content, and I think I've been kind of red pilled for quite a while, but after going through a divorce about 2 years ago,
Yeah.
that really kind of got me into the MGTOW movement and following that, and I don't know, I just think I had a lot to contribute and a lot to
Sure.
say, so
So
I'm
let me
just
ask you a
doing.
question though.
Yeah.
What made you? Because it takes some balls. It takes and
Mm,
obviously some time and energy
mm,
to start a channel. It's like, obviously you don't just, especially with you, like the type of content you're putting out, it's quality stuff. What
Thanks,
made you
man.
like kind of switch gears and go into like, hey, I feel as though I have the content to give people the knowledge. Like, was there any type of catalyst that pushed you into doing something like that, or was it, you know, what was it?
It it really was my divorce because I knew all the strife that men were going through
Mm,
before my divorce, and but living it and seeing it up close
mm.
and what it could have done. I was lucky because we were only together for 3 years and I didn't have to pay anything to her. She actually
Wow.
had to pay me.
Yeah. No
Luckily
kidding.
enough, yeah, it was just for a car. It was like $1,000, but it was, I mean,
Sure.
just kind of stuck it to her. But no, just living it and kind of doing a little bit more reading and what guys are going through, and it's just and also jumping back into the dating world too. I mean, that
Mm.
was eye opening. I mean, I was with that girl for 7 years now, so I was out of the dating world for 7 years and jumping right back into it.
Mm.
Seeing what's out there, it's wow.
And a bit of a different market, you'd say.
Oh yeah, a lot different. Even in 7 years, I think it changed. Yeah.
Do you have any? Do you have any takeaways? Like, what did you notice that was different in that 7 years?
Probably the
Going in there for the
maturity,
deep
the,
ones,
the
right?
maturity, yeah, maturity level. It's just in women, it's just I think it's less than it was 7 years ago.
Uh huh.
Um,
And then by maturity, what do you mean? Like, because I can tell you what I've been dating throughout this entire time frame,
mm,
and I can even see it because, for you were removed from it for a little while, and then you went right back in, and you're like,
mm.
holy crap, shit's just fucking totally different. By the way, you can cuss if you do.
All right,
So
all
yeah,
right.
don't feel free about censoring yourself on any of the language whatsoever. I'm not even monetized yet to get demonetized, so it's not like I
Mm.
care. Which I'm sure when it does come time for me to get monetized, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shoot,
I.
here's some dude that's talking about all this stuff. There's no way we could support this whatsoever.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, you said maturity level. But what do you mean? Like, what do you mean by maturity?
Well, they seem like they just don't have a goal. They just conform to society and they just go right to college. It's like a twitch. It's just like you can go right to college and they
Mm-hmm.
just don't have. They just seem directionless and I it's and the partying too. They love to
Mm-hmm.
party and all that, and I'm
Yeah.
not into that. It's just
It's
a
almost
whole bunch
like,
of stuff.
I was talking with John Fitch about this yesterday, and I don't agree, and I don't believe, first and foremost, I don't believe anyone should be going to college at from 18 to
Mm,
22 years old, period. I
mm,
don't believe.
yeah.
I think the biggest thing that's destroying this country right now, aside from our media, I think it's the college system. I think
Mm,
it's become a consumerist model by which people can go there and they can put in minimal work, meaning like, most people are like, oh, obviously you haven't gone to college if you think that it's minimal work. Oh, I feel like I
mm.
lost audio for a second. No, we're good. Um,
It's like deferring adulthood. You know.
Agreed. It's a safe space where they get to go and they get so entitled off of the fact that they're getting this degree, But the reality is the degrees are so watered down now that you're not really attaining you're not attaining true knowledge. Instead, what you're attaining is an ideology, which is really the scary part about all this stuff. And then it's so safe. I talk about rites of passages quite a bit too. And the thing is, college is not a rite of passage. Instead, it's like an intermediary where it's like, hey, the world out there can eat you up and chew you up and spit you out, right? You can get fucking laid out hard in the business world and all this other stuff and reputation wise and all this other stuff. Here, we're just going to usher you into this environment where you kind of like, you get to like rise above the rest of society without having to fucking really do any of the hard work. And I'm not going to blame anyone for fucking buying into something like this. But when a deal is too good to be true, you got to realize like, hey, there's got to be something on the back end that you're paying that, you know what I mean? That you're giving that you don't really know. It's in the fine print. And the reality is a lot of these people, they're trading in their best days and they're trading in their mind. And I would even say their souls in these environments and institutions. And they're instead being like converted over to, SJW fucking, communism in a way too, right? It's this communistic form of capitalism where you just go into the slaughterhouse and you give up your mind, you give up your fucking free thought, your free rationale, right? Even your free will. And you buy into their hedonistic lifestyle. And then the next thing you know, it's like, hey, give us everything for free. And that's what they expect. It's not a good environment for people to go into. And then these girls, what I noticed that a lot of these women are doing is they're buying into this environment. They're going there to be like indoctrinated into feminism.
They're going there to fit in. That's
correct.
What I see.
Correct.
I'm sorry,
well,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're totally fine, dude. Rollo talks about this a lot. He calls it the sisterhood uber alles, right? Which means, the sisterhood above anything else. And women realize that they're being given everything in the world right now. Everything's being propped up for them. All the laws, all the the judicial system, everything is propped up for women, and even these institutions. It's why 66% of the people that are on college campuses now are female. Actually, I think it's a little bit less than that, but it's pretty high up there. I think that was for like masters and PhDs. But it's a lot more women than men, is what I need to say. Majority, and they've realized that in order to keep their throne, they have to buy into feminism. So even good-looking women, right? Before, feminists used to be women that were like 3s and 4s, right? That were angry at the world because they're ugly and they're not getting their pick of the chads. Now everyone's buying into it because it's been marketed to them, because what it does is it keeps the resources flowing into their coffers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So all they have to do at 18 to 22 is go to school, go to college, buy into this whole fucking strong female power or strong female strong independent woman type of thing. And then they fit in, right? All of them fit in, right? And now they get to go into corporate America for a little while and complain about the fucking air conditioning and all that other stuff. And then pop out some kids, hopefully in like 10 years, and then go right back to work. And then, live a fucking life of drinking alcohol and wearing their Uggs boots. It's terrible.
Right. Well, society promises them that they're going to, go to college, get a degree, and get this amazing career, And, according to the bell curve of IQ, that's not going to happen because the majority of women, are average. They're average IQ. So they're going to go in there, get this useless degree, and they're going to come out and they're going to work at Walgreens for 5 years. They're not going to get this amazing career. Because,
they're not going to go and get promoted to CEO and all this other stuff in the time frame that they're looking for.
And that's what commercials and, you see all these commercials all the time where promoting women CEOs and all that. And they see this and that's what they think they're going to achieve, something close to it.
Yeah, I really like the fact that you brought up the bell curve part too, because, the bell curve, especially, so if we're going to talk about IQ real quick, most average white males are on the bell curve. They average out to about 105 on the IQ scale, and women are at about 100. Right. The thing is, though, if you look at men, you'll see men kind of scatter plotted more, all branching throughout, right? And that's kind of the role of the masculine in a way too, right? We kind of beep, beep, beep all over the place, right? And it's the same thing like with us being adventurers and frontiersmen and all this other stuff, right? We're always trying to do...
We're assertive. Yeah, like you said, we're adventurous. We take risks.
Right, exactly. So that's also seen on the bell curve as far as IQ is concerned. Mm-hmm. Now, when you look at the majority of women, though, you're going to see probably about 80% of them sitting in that 100 IQ spot. And then, of course, yeah, you'll see some, but the majority of them, 80% of them are in that 100. Like, and this is so indicative of how the feminine is, because the feminine do lump together. They almost like create like a nucleus in a way. They create like the center and they stay together. And that's usually where you see like kids and women hanging out, right? And then the men are outside on the periphery guarding the fucking boundaries and the borders and stuff like that, right? That's what we do. We take risks. We take social risks. We do all that other stuff. But it's amazing because if you look at the atom, right, you need to have the nucleus, right, which is the protons and the neutrons. And then you have the electrons that are floating around it. Like without that, nothing in the material world would exist. And it's weird how that's structured, but then also male and female, positive and negative energy, right? It's strange how that works out and how it's supposed to be. But what's going on with this fucking craziness of these people that are actually trying to destroy the fabric of reality, right? These SJWs, they're trying to make everyone think that like everything's androgynous and nothing has its place in the world. Like that there isn't these fucking like specific or specified roles for people to be in. And it's like, unfortunately for you people, you're wrong, right? Mm-hmm. There's rules that govern the fucking universe, right? There's laws. And that's kind of how it comes down to when it comes to male and female. And we all have our specific roles. That's my belief, at least. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. It's the laws of nature. And, you couldn't have this trans movement without single moms, and the loss of masculinity. You couldn't have this weird trans movement like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is... I think all this stuff that's going on, I don't know, I brought it up in an earlier podcast, but would love for you to check this out. I think this is all due to overpopulation. I think that we as a species are realizing that there's just far too many human beings. And we're not meant to live in this kind of homeostasis environment with that. And the reason why I bring that up is because, if you look at, I believe his name is Jim Calhoun, but I could be mistaken. I know his last name is Calhoun, and I've brought up Mal's Utopia before. It's also called behavioral sync. But he does this experiment where mice are in this environment and they have no natural predators. They have unlimited water and unlimited food. And the population skyrockets over the next 2 years. And once the population reaches a certain point, the genetics, the genome of the species turns off. And what he marks is the decay of all these behaviors that occur in these mice, like in mouse form, like transgenderism, infanticide, homoeroticism like crazy, this total kind of crazy tribal environment that occurs just because of how overpopulated it is. And then the worst part is the genetics turn off. So now they're not able to procreate whatsoever. And then the worst part about this, so the population starts to die off. The worst part about it, though, is this. At no point on the decline of their population do their genetics ever turn back on. So they just all die off.
Weird.
Isn't that fucking crazy? Yeah, there's like a stop loss fail. I don't know what fucking I forgot what the term I'm looking for is. But there's like this stop loss kind of thing that's within our genetics that has that. It's crazy.
It's like a built-in mechanism to control our population. Or
correct. Yeah. Now let's get back to you for a little bit because I can go on tangents all day long. Guys, we have a good amount of viewers in the queue too. Hey, I'm the 9. What's up? We started at 4 today. Sorry, I had to move it a little bit forward just because, but I'm glad you guys are here. A Party of One. He has a YouTube channel named A Party of One. He does sort of red pill, sort of MGTOW stuff, and I like his content because, sometimes in the MGTOW fields you can get a little bit too tribalistic. In the red pill fields, you can also start to become too evangelical. And this guy here has kind of a fine line that he walks across. And one of the biggest things that I'm trying to do is, we were having a little conversation off air before where I was like, you know what, MGTOW incels, all these sects of masculine, like these masculine empowerment movements kind of deal, we're all preaching the same thing. Like 90% of us are on the same page. Like 90% of it is on the same page, but we all differ in the 10%. And we're allowing that to kind of like create this internalized struggle, this internalized fighting and this infighting. And it's no worse or it's no better than what the feminists are doing. And it's my belief, honestly, that if we just all kind of like flew under the same banner of just masculinity and pushed that forward, that we could actually make some pretty significant changes. I'm not saying to change the West or bring it back or, you know, protect Milady or anything like that. But what I am saying is we could at least create an environment of dudes who want to make each other better and can help each other find happiness. So that's what I've found in you. I really, really like the content that you put out. Like I told you, I think the first thing that I started to watch was your Jenna Marbles stuff. You want to go into how you found her? And I'm not saying you have like an obsession. I think you found a perfect model. I was going into it a little bit about how, you know, who she is. You guys, would you mind giving a little breakdown of her and like what you've kind of deduced from her behavior and stuff like that?
Yeah. Actually, my ex-wife was really into her. She watched all of her videos, and of
Oh my
course, because
goodness. I don't get
I
it.
lived with her, I had to endure a lot of that.
Mm.
And I don't know, about
So who is
six,
she?
seven.
Because I never really watched much of her. So,
Yeah, she got popular. I don't know, like 7, 8 years ago when she was right out of college. She put out this really vapid video where all these women think it's hilarious, but I don't think it's that funny. It's like how to be sexy or she tries to be funny. I guess Jenna's funny. I don't find her funny, but she just
she's
puts
not.
out this vapid. Yeah, she's not. She puts out this vapid content, and she has for years. And anymore, she just does weekly videos where I mean, literally does nothing. I mean, I don't know. What was it, about a month ago? She actually just took a nap with her dogs,
Oh
and
my
it was like a
God.
20-minute video. Yeah, because I did all this research on her, she keeps popping up on my YouTube,
Ugh.
you know,
Yeah, I
feed.
feel you.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I look at, she pops up. I look at it. I don't watch it, but I read the title, and and she gets pretty good, 5 million views, four
Oh
million
my
views. Because
God.
I know, and it's yeah,
It's just
it,
empty. It's
it is
empty.
right. Yeah, yeah. She's empty. I mean, obviously,
Right.
if you watch any of her videos.
One thing I want you guys to understand, the guys that are watching right now. You know, I've never heard of this girl before until I saw a party of one pop up in my feed. And this girl is she's probably like a 6. Like if I were to give her a fucking sexual rating, she's kind of a basic white girl. I think she started off by doing makeup tutorials. Is that correct?
No,
No,
no.
she
She
wasn't doing
just
makeup
no.
tutorials.
I don't think so. She was just doing like weird little comedy sketches or whatever.
Okay.
Just or she would just like talk and give her opinion of whatever she
Sure.
was thinking about. And, yeah, but I think she has since done makeup
Right.
tutorials or
Yeah, I
videos.
saw some stuff going on with that, right? I saw her doing that. So now Jenna Marbles, she dyes her hair all sorts of the crazy colors. She lives in LA. You could definitely tell that she's gone to a college because she holds these kind of like feminist, like empowered kind of woman types of things.
I think she has a master's degree actually.
Of course she does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You're not a
yeah.
strong feminist until you get your master's degree. That's like,
Right, right,
you know, you have to go $200,000 into debt to be a strong feminist.
right.
So there's a correlation there.
That's like the next level in the religion. You get to
Exactly. No,
level
you're
up,
seriously
Yeah.
right. Like it's like selling your soul to the devil. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get all this debt, and
Yep.
who wants to marry
Well,
them now?
exactly. It's like, hey, go into all this debt, but reality, it's an investment in yourself so that you can be this super strong and empowered woman. It's like, okay, yeah, no problem. And the reality is what they're expecting is that they're going to find someone along the way who's going to pay off their debt.
Exactly.
That's-
Yeah.
I've worked in sales for quite some time. I worked in like vacation ownership, which is just a fancy word to say timeshare. And the best people to sell to were a couple. And the way that you would fucking sell to these people is you would sell the dream to the wife, right? And you'd play her up, right? Of like,
Yeah.
your husband's never taken you on any of these vacations and all this other stuff, and XYZ and XYZ, and then you play on the guy, and it's like, hey, when are you gonna start? Like, you want to know the best time to take your wife on a vacation? And then the answer is, before I do, or before her boyfriend does, or something like that, right? It's to let them know, like, hey, you're supposed to buy your wife this because she deserves it for being with you. It's stupid shit, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, and that's what it would always come down to, is the woman would always want to buy, and what it came down to was she was always expecting her husband to just be like, oh, I'm gonna buy this for her. She would never come up with a game plan herself. It would be like, I'm gonna buy this and I'm gonna pay for it. It's always, oh, this guy should get this for me. And it's not to say, I can't beat women up. I believe that has a lot to do with hypergamy, and it has a lot to do with, the natural gender roles, right, of a man being a provider. But I think that it's just been so overly inflated today. And, we had a discussion yesterday on my podcast with John Fitch, and someone was like, hey, do you think there's a way to like commercialize feminism? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, we're seeing it right now. Like, everything is commercialized for women to buy things. Like, that's who they sell to. That is what feminism is. It's like, hey, you're strong and empowered. Now go buy some more stuff that you need.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Go $200,000. Go ahead.
We live in this debt-ridden society, and it's a feminine type of society. We're all consumers. We're consumerism. We're just always consuming, and that is feminism. I mean, right there. I agree. And I think that has a lot to do with the rise of all this progressive nonsense. I mean, it's just and the lack of masculinity. I mean, you see men doing the same thing. Or I don't know, you're probably millennial, aren't you? Like me.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, I mean, all these millennials. I mean, they're just these men, so-called men. They're just as bad as women now. They're feminized. They're consumers.
Oh yeah, that has a lot to do with our elementary school. Going through elementary school and being taught that you're a defective woman, being taught that your worth isn't this unless you do that, right? I grew up in Connecticut, and the thing was, like, styles were changing like every year or so. And if you weren't wearing the right style, what's up, my dude? Good to see you in here. I haven't seen you in a while. First name, last name. Conk, how's it going? Yeah, I'm the 9. Every basic white girl, or every white girl is basic as fuck. Yeah, exactly. And they're the biggest consumers. And the other thing too is they're the biggest consumers of this this virtue signaling world. Like most white women. So I'm on a ton of dating sites too as well. I notice a lot of these women that are in their 30s, like 27 to like 34 or 35. Their biggest thing now is promoting the fact that they are so woke in a way, right? Promoting veganism and promoting interracial dating and wearing fucking pride stuff all the time. Like these white chicks are I hate, like, the basic white woman. She will always be the first one to fucking sit there on Twitter and be like, "Oh my God, that's racist." It's like, dude, it's just so bad. Again, it's a consumable item is what they're doing. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. They're buying into these ideologies in order for them to seem like they're so fucking empathetic, and just like they act as though like they're the arbiters of all things that are fucking holy in the world. It's crazy. Right. Absolutely crazy. But getting back to Jenna Marbles, I love the latest content that you kind of put out about her, because you've really broken down like the timeline, right? I think you had. Well, go ahead.
You're probably talking about Julian's video. Is that what you're talking
about?
No.
Well, you were talking about. So I want to talk about Julian next, because that's the other aspect we need to talk about. But you've talked about and you've shown this progression of how she's now a 33-year-old woman who now has 4 dogs, and the way that she is with her dogs. Mm-hmm. You want to explain that to the audience real quick of what's going on with that? Like what you've seen and
right, and I think she's a very good model for many of these millennial women now, because millennial women are reaching 30, and their alarms are going off. So Jenna, when she started to reach 30, she doesn't have kids, so she substitutes that with her dogs, and she puts all this energy into her dogs, and she treats them like babies. And it's
how so?
Well, she dresses them. I mean, she talks to him
Hmm.
constantly. She dresses them up. They're a focal part of every one of her videos.
Yeah,
You
she's
just have
named
to
them
watch
all.
it.
She has birthday parties
Right.
for them. She gets them gifts.
Yes.
She treats
Right.
them like kids. Like, did she put a diaper on
She
one of them one time or something? Or
she had a video where she treated them like children, like babies, and
yeah,
she put each one of them in diapers and put them in a high
fed
chair
them
and
bottles and
fed
shit.
them bottles
Yeah,
and rocked them, and yeah,
it's so funny because these blue pill people, they think it's cute and funny, but what we see it from a red pill lens is like what we're able to deduce is like you're screaming right now, like your genes right now are screaming at
yes,
you.
yes,
Like
hmm,
you are
right,
failing. You're failing at
right,
life, bitch. Like
hmm,
this is why you're acting like a fucking petulant idiot at 33 years old. And you're trying
hmm,
to baby your dogs like a baby. But you know, her hardware is saying this stuff, but her software is saying fight the patriarchy. Fight the
right,
patriarchy by not having babies because that's all I'm supposed to be good for. How stupid
hmm,
is that? You know what I mean? It's like
right.
you're fucked. You're
Well,
delusional.
she's already has the masculine role anyway. I mean, she is the provider in that family.
Exactly.
She has a boyfriend named Julian who is I know, and
It
who
kills
is
me.
her bitch,
It
and
kills me.
I know, and she takes the masculine role, and it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
obvious when you watch the videos.
I love that you just mentioned that. Would you mind? So first off, let's introduce Julian in a way real quick.
Hmm.
You did a video completely on Julian, and guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, please do go to his channel, A Party of One on YouTube, and start watching these videos because they are seriously cringe, but they're also very very eye opening. So go back after that, after you guys are done watching this, and check him out. Also give him a subscribe, which also leads me to this. Go ahead and give this show a fucking like too, you guys. Um, yeah, go ahead and give us a timeline of Julian because this is really impressive as well.
Yeah, well, I credit this to my long-standing, watching this with my ex because I wouldn't be able to see his fall because
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting. He started out when he started dating Jenna when I think she was around 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of a macho man. He was a weightlifter. He would compete. He was a
He was big
uh,
into bodybuilding. He was actually pretty
bodybuilding,
big.
and yeah, he was
Yeah.
decently big, and
Yeah.
he was competing.
He had a
And
good masculine shape. You know,
right,
the wide deltoids, the wide
mm-hmm,
lats. You know, he was cut in a way. He was also
mm-hmm.
doing jujitsu. I think he was a fucking
He was
blue
doing
belt or something like
jujitsu.
that. He was like all
Yeah,
into this stuff.
yeah, he was.
You know, he was a little bit of a long hair bitch, though, in my opinion.
Right. Well, now
But
he's from California, so he's
exactly.
kind of what you. Yeah. Um, but yeah, he was in motion, man. He was just always doing something,
Mm,
and you could just see over time he just kind of he became more feminine, and you look at him now, he doesn't lift anymore. It's quite obvious.
mm-hmm.
He has a gut on him. He
Mm-hmm.
is now vegan,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I mean, he is just Jenna's bitch. Jenna's 33. They don't have kids. They've been together
She's
for
neutered him and she's taken his
yes,
genetics out of the
mm-hmm,
gene pool. She's done her
right,
job as a master's degree feminist.
right,
She's
right,
killed one man. Like
right.
literally
And
killed one man's genetics.
I feel bad for him
He
because I mean
failed all of her tests. He failed all
right,
of her shit tests.
right.
Dude, it's crazy. You could see her lose respect for him when he fucking started acting in drag. You could see
Yes.
that.
Oh,
You could
yes.
watch
Oh, I
it. You
forgot
could.
about those. Yeah.
Oh, how cringe!
Those are
This
something
is
that you have.
this is back
Whoever's
when he was
watching
still
has
built.
to go see that.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. I
he was
know.
still built. He was still a
Right.
man, and then he literally sold his soul right there on
Mhm.
air. She
Right.
started doing makeup and dressing him in drag, and he started
There's
talking
actually
like a
several
girl.
videos where he does that.
Oh,
Where she,
it's
oh,
so
horrible.
cringe. You
Yeah.
watch her fucking ovaries literally fucking close up on him. You
Right.
watch.
And I pointed it out too in the video that you can just.
You could see it in her eyes.
Yeah, you could.
She's like, "Who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
I'm banging
She
this
didn't
guy.
have-
I can't believe it."
Right. And the funny thing is that she's the one that put him in that situation. But,
Right.
when
Well, that's what a shit test is. Like she's
Exactly,
testing
right.
to see.
Right, right. You're right. Like you said, he's failed every single one.
Every
Yeah.
single one. Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and all it takes, and I'm going to probably get fucking banned here in a little while, but all it takes is a fucking man to come into that girl's life and just be like, bitch, no. That's all you got to,
Yeah.
no. Like, The best word you can ever say to a fucking woman, honestly, is no.
Right.
You will watch her fucking go right back into her feminine role the second you start saying no to her, because it's a boundary, and that's all shit tests are. All they're trying to see is like, does this guy have the fucking balls enough to say no to me? Does this guy have the balls enough to sit there and fucking like establish boundaries in my life? And that's what's crazy. You saw that tweet that I sent out, right? And I hate bringing this up every fucking show, but the biggest thing is the reason why it got so much flack is because it's the feminine who's been getting away with having no standards put on them for the last 60, 70 years, reacting to men who are actually starting to fucking come up in the world and say, hey, we need to start placing standards and boundaries back on women again. Like, we need to contain this fucking wild, crazy shit show of people.
We obviously hit a nerve. I mean, you wouldn't have got so much attention for it if it wasn't true. You know?
I also think, on the other side of things too, it's kind of like rape culture. Why are women so obsessed with rape culture? It's because, and this is going to sound crazy, but most women that I meet are obsessed with rape. They have a rape fantasy. So when they lash out about things, it is the ultimate projection. They're projecting something that they themselves are like kind of attracted to. Right. It's like even when girls make fun of me on Twitter and stuff like that, they're like, "Oh, I bet you haven't given a girl an orgasm or whatever." Like you can't find the clit, or I bet you have a tiny dick. Like they sexualize things because really they're sexualizing me, and I'm not. It's to anybody that does these kinds of things too. Right. They're part of them is saying like, I'm turned on by you, because they don't understand. They don't understand the difference. Any type of emotional reaction is arousal, right? Like, whereas with us men, we can kind of decipher what's arousing to us. To them, what's arousing is just a change in an emotional state.
Well, they have a bunch of yes men around them all the time.
That's true too.
They like a little pushback. They like a little no in their life. They crave it. That's what I see. Feminism is just a massive shit test that's been going on for over 100 years. As soon as society became more predictive and safe, and that's when they started to say, hey, we want the right to vote, and then we gave it to them.
No,
and they say, hey, we want to be able to have sex with anybody we want. We give it to them, and they're unearned.
Right.
They're not drafted.
Nope.
They have deference in this society, and we give it to them. I mean, look at the judicial system. I mean, they get less sentence for the same crime as men.
Right.
It's just.
As a matter of fact, I don't know if you've followed any of the major cases over the last year, but John and I pointed out a couple of them. Like especially that one girl who killed her fucking newborn baby. Like literally killed her newborn baby. She could have had an abortion prior to the baby being born, but instead she chose to have the baby and then killed it right there, and then buried it in the backyard and burnt it.
Jesus.
And she got fucking charged for just mutilating a corpse, and I think she's only got to do like 1 year probation or something. Our judicial system looks for reasons not to get women in trouble. That's what I'm trying to get at. Even like that Amber Geiger, that police officer, where she shot somebody who lived a floor above her, and there's something very, very shady about all that stuff that's going on.
That was a weird case.
They never tried to search for motive.
Right.
Like that was a murder. Why are you not looking for a motive? Instead, what they're trying to do is they're trying to paint it all like an accident, even the prosecutors. And this is something that, Ryan Stone talks about a lot. This is inherent within most men. We have this fucking biological necessity to protect women at all costs. Even if we know they're fucking evil, lying, vindictive, awful cunts, we'll still find a way to give them a way out. And that's called not having boundaries, right? That's why most men don't, is they're like, there's this kind of like mindset of like, if I establish boundaries, there's a possibility that she'll walk away or something bad will happen to her, which would mean then that I'm not able to procreate. So I have to, rule number one, protect women at all costs. And it's like, well, fortunately right now we have 7 billion people on the planet, and women have become fucking pretty awful creatures. So we can start saying no to them. It's really going to work out. And, the cool thing is all these people fucking cry about equality, but yet here you are, fucking committing atrocious fucking what's it called? Atrocious crimes, and you're not being treated nearly as equal. Where's the outcry there, feminism? You know what I mean? Like, I'd be the first to stand up and say, if I'm fighting for equality and things weren't happening equally, someone was being treated with some kind of like supremacism, like, hey, we should not allow this to happen because it goes against the motives of our I guess our moral foundation. But no one's saying that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You'll never hear a feminist say anything about fucking men's rights. It's obviously it's not a fucking movement of equality.
They attack men's rights.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
They
that's
call
why
them
I like
bomb threats.
How fucked up is that?
Oh man, that's
Let's go back to Julian real quick because there's some stuff I do want to point out about him. Even though you kind of hit it, you can literally watch this guy's body shape over like a 5-year time. And I think you even do a tremendous job in your videos showing how it tapers down. Like the first thing, that's the point I wanted to bring up. It was the most atrocious thing I think I've ever seen someone do. They went to a fucking petting zoo. They went to a fucking petting zoo.
So cringe.
Oh my God. That was the most cringe thing ever. They go to a petting zoo, right? These are these fucking city slicker LA people that have never fucking seen like real livestock before and don't understand what livestock are. They go to this woke ass fucking petting zoo and they get to pick up all the chickens and hang around all the goats, and then they get to meet a cow. They meet a cow. Yeah. And the cow, obviously everything's being video recorded, so of course Julian's in his best fucking lispy voice, fucking beta posture possible. And this cow comes up to him and like licks his arm, and then Julian falls in love and names the cow Buttercup. And at the end of it, he adopts Buttercup, right? Is that the name of the fucking thing?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I thought I was mixing up what's the name of it? What's that Dave Chappelle movie where they get high all the time? Not High Times. Fuck, I can't believe I forgot it. But anyway, in one of the scenes, it's a horse that was named fucking Buttercup. Anyway, so Julian gets licked by this fucking thing, ends up adopting it, right, paying like $20 or $50 a month, and then like 3 months later or 5 months later finds out that the cow died of cancer, which is fucking retarded.
Cancer. Yeah.
Retarded, right? Yeah, half baked. Thank you. It was right on the top of my head, but fuck. This motherfucker ends up getting, the prime fucking alpha spot for men to get tattoos is right here, right? On your bicep.
Right.
This dude goes and gets a fucking tattoo of the cow, this brown and white cow. It's the gayest fucking tattoo I think I've ever seen. Yeah, the horse's name was Buttercup. This dude gets a tattoo on his arm dedicated to this fucking cow at a petting zoo that died of cancer 3 months after he adopted.
He met only one time. He
only
saw the cow one time.
How fucked is that? And then the next thing you know, he's getting excited and fucking all giddy about getting vegan burgers in. It was retarded. Ugh, so bad.
I think that's when I decided to make that video.
When you saw that?
When I saw the tattoo.
Yeah.
I was like, this is interesting stuff, but how am I going to... And then I saw the tattoo. I'm like, oh, this is it.
This is it.
This is gold right here.
Yeah,
I found
absolutely.
It. So I have to make... I couldn't not make the video. Yeah, that was just... It was so cringe. I didn't... that's not a man right there.
No. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad you did something like that too, because you're a lot more... like, I don't want to say professional because I'm not trying to use that as like a pejorative, but you are definitely a lot more even keel. Like, you present things, right? I don't present things. I'm just kind of like a shit poster in a way live. It's like, yeah, fuck that. That guy's stupid and all this other stuff, right? But you like literally went through all this video, cut it, spliced it, and then like presented an argument. And it's just like, dude, it is so crazy. Are we talking about Julian the PUA or some other dude named Julian? We're talking about Julian. I don't know his real name, but Jenna Marbles.
Solomita.
Ugh. So bad.
Yeah, I'm sure their periods lined up. I mean, they've been living together for 7 years, so. I mean, God, he's just... I mean, you can tell he's feminine right now. I mean,
it's bad.
He's a completely different man than he was.
I think he's even dyed a bit of his hair purple and stuff like that. And man, I don't know. It's just not good. It's not good. I hate seeing this, guys, too, by the way. Like, I walk around a lot here in California, or just in general. I'm always judging couples. And what I'm starting to see a lot of is the types of guys that women are choosing to be their kind of like walk around boyfriend. And a lot of these guys are all taking like I look at it and I could see the energy. Like I look in their eyes. Like this girl's like got the masculine look. She's driving towards the goal. She's driving to where they're going. And the guy is just kind of like aloof and just kind of like following around. But as long as he's got his hand held by her and they're like seen in public and he's like getting some kind of emotional support from her, then he's happy. And it's like, it's so bad seeing these like super feminized men. It really, really hurts. It hurts my stomach. It's like, why do you like, it's a choice. You chose this, you purposely chose it. And that's what this Julian did. This Julian guy did too. Terrible. Now, the last video that I saw of yours was the Stefan Molyneux video. And I'm actually happy that, you know, I'm going to come out and say it. I've been a fan of Stefan for quite some time. I love his philosophy stuff. I've read a couple of his books. Definitely big into like the whole, you know, anarchist type of thing, the anarchist type of thinking. But I will say that as of late, especially over the last year and a half or 2 years, I would say that Stefan has taken quite a bit of a turn. He's become more like on the side of the right, but then buying big time into like the Christianity type of thing. And I also believe that Stefan has become quite a bit more feminized. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that he's getting older, his testosterone is plummeting, and that he is living in an environment with two girls, with two women. And I think he's starting to see the world from a state of the feminine rather than seeing it from the state of the masculine. What did you cover, just to kind of give the audience some kind of idea? What did you cover in that video? What were the main things that we were talking about in that video?
Well, I just focused on this argument he had. He claimed that women today aren't settling down because the top 10% of men remain bachelors, and it's due to female hypergamy. The majority of women vie for attention for those top men, and they escalate their methods by offering sex early. Well, he says it's the fault of men because in the past those men would get snapped up quickly because they're the top 10%.
Right.
And now they're not. And I just don't agree with that.
Right.
I don't agree with that at all.
I remember hearing, like I said, I followed Stefan. He's the first person I ever heard the word hypergamy from. The second person I heard it from, and I think he did a way better job of obviously going into it, is Rollo. And then I think once Rollo and Stefan kind of got a little bit of a following and Jordan Peterson got a little bit more of his following, that's when Jordan Peterson started talking about it a little bit. But the thing that I'm noticing about this, and it's kind of like this boomer-esque kind of approach to things, is that this is what I do notice from boomers, is that boomers really do like to always pit the blame on men, and they still like to keep women as like this innocent milady type of environment in their mind. So no matter what, you know, these boomers, and I'm not saying that Rollo doesn't do this. Rollo's fucking hardcore when it comes to this shit. But the majority of boomers and stuff like this, they do always defer the blame to the masculine. That men are the ones that are supposed to uphold the moral agency, and that women have no role, in obtaining any type of moral agency in the world today.
I would say not just men, free men. They don't like to criticize the government. I've noticed the boomers do, and I think just because that they rely on the government. They
created the government. They created the
right,
monolith
they created
of
the
what
government we have today. Yeah. Exactly, and they have their booming housing prices and their nice Social Security waiting for them, and they don't want to criticize that.
Right. They created, in a way, they're the ones that created socialism. In a way, it's a corporatized socialism here in the United States.
Well, yeah, right. They brought it here. They changed immigration laws in the 70s. They have the Lyndon Johnson's
worst president ever.
Yeah, I think so too. Him and probably Woodrow Wilson.
Oh my God, I fucking love you. I was just about to say that too.
Yeah.
The fucking Jekyll Island motherfucker.
Yeah.
Have you? I have this book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's huge. It goes over how the fucking IMF was created, because of Woodrow Wilson. It's insane, and that ties into almost everything that we're talking about right now. We became a debt-based society once that was signed into power, right?
Yeah. Right.
Insane. And it just goes to show during that time frame. I mean, but that was in 1913, I believe, right?
Yes.
1913
Yeah.
or
Did
1917.
you say the IMF? Do you mean the Fed?
I mean the Fed. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
IMF was, I think, later, but yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
right.
I have a tank top that I wear to the gym all the time that says "End the Fed."
Nice. I bet you nobody even knows what that
I
means.
had one guy come up to me and he said, "Dude, I love that shirt." And then I was
Oh,
going to get
nice.
into it, but I was like, "This guy doesn't know what he's talking about." He just wanted to come up and say hi to me. So weird, right? Yeah. So I like that. I like that you called him out on that because, again, too, that's what I have noticed with Steph. Again, the last year and a half, 2 years, he's kind of gone back into this like Christian white knighthood in a way of like, we need to protect women and it's men's jobs and it's men's roles because women are so cute and so sweet that we can't sit there and point the finger at them and be like, listen, bitch. Like,
Well, do you not think in the past that we had the obligation to do that?
What's that?
Protect women.
So I go into this again, like 2 episodes ago with John Fitch. I think genetically we are always going to have that role, but the problem is, you can't. So this is like what I noticed with like boomer fathers. Yeah, I've seen the Zeitgeist movies; they're amazing. Boomer fathers, what they end up doing is they end up treating their daughters like princesses. And they don't treat their daughters like you're supposed to become a citizen, if that makes any sense. It's almost like, oh, my daughter is so cute and so beautiful and all these other things, and she should just kind of get whatever she wants whenever she wants because I don't want to say no to her. It's like this kind of like affinity for the daughter.
Well, I think they should fathers should teach them to be more than their sexuality, and they haven't done that.
Agreed. And yeah, that's exactly what I'm kind of getting at is we've allowed for just peak narcissism, right? No matter, I'm Corey, EC Smooth. Somebody in the chat's like, what's Corey? That's me. I'm Corey. Nice to meet you. It only says it like 5 times on the fucking screen here. But I appreciate that. Yeah, we've allowed for like peak narcissism in women by allowing them to believe. No, I haven't seen The Straw Man. I guess I'll take a look at that. I appreciate it. Yeah, these girls have been taught to believe that in a way, right? So like at least back in the day, like I go back to like feudalistic societies. Oh, hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, no worries, EC Smooth. I get where you're going now. At least back in feudalistic days, if you treated the women that way, right? If you're like, hey, we're going to be protectors and providers, you still had to come to the table with something, right? Society and civilization, it's a social contract, okay? It's a thing that says, okay, us men, we're developed and we've been created in order for us as a species to thrive, and our job is to gain and garner resources and then also protect the boundaries of our civilization, right? And we will risk our lives and we'll risk our bodies. But the thing is, you ladies have to be the ones that, first off, you have to buy into masculinity, okay? You have to buy into this. And you have to appreciate men for what they bring to the table. The next thing is then, though, you have to, because it's very easy for you ladies to just get your way and to just kind of be like vile and bitter and like cunty, right? I love the word cunt. Like that's kind of what women have become today, right? It's your job to not be that negative version of femininity because you can do that. You can be that way. But then we're just going to have a shit society because you're not buying into the roles of the feminine. And essentially that's what we're seeing today is that women want all of the resources. They want all of the protection. And again, because they can't see it from the masculine, they can only see it from the government. Because government has now taken the role of daddy. Right? Because there's no man on earth that could go up against the United States government and be like, hey, fuck you and die. Right? So women are just going with the guy that has the most money and the most guns. And that's the government. So that's the hard part. And that's why, really what it comes down to is we need to shrink our government as much as possible. We need to shrink our welfare state. And we also have to fucking repeal the 19th. Because women should not have any right in saying any of this stuff. Because, as we've seen, all they're going to do is just vote for fucking more socialistic kind of things in order for them to get more resources. So there's
Well,
that,
the way
right?
I see it
Go
is
ahead.
women have a very big responsibility. They kind of control sex. You know, men propose, women dispose.
Right.
And when you don't have masculine, when you have this surfeit of single mothers with no masculinity, you, you don't get women. You don't have women who can see that responsibility
Hmm.
and know what it means,
Right.
and they're just meretricious, and they just use their sexuality to get resources, and they're leeches. And then once they hit 30, you know, they go for that beta male,
Hmm.
and you get you get these feminized boys raised by
Right.
these beta males, and it's just
Right.
a terrible
Well, and
cycle.
it's also that's what they're trying to do. They're purposely trying to kill the masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right.
these women, they're alpha widowed. That's a phrase. I don't know if you're familiar with that term. They
No, never
love
heard
they
of it.
love the alpha, but they hate the alpha at the same time because they couldn't get the alpha to commit. So when they have these boys, the first thing that they want to do is rip it away from the alpha, and then they want to feminize them. And what
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty much saying is what we're going to try to do is kill any form of masculinity in them, because women, what they think they're attracted to, and this is like you ask any woman, you ask a woman, what are you attracted to? I want a nice guy with a nice smile who's going to love and respect me and treat me as his equal, and he's going to share his feelings and emotions with me. Now, how many of you guys out there have ever tried that strategy? Because I have. I'm not going to lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried
Mm-hmm.
that all through my 20s. I tried that strategy, and it doesn't say it, I'm not saying it doesn't work. Like, I've gotten laid plenty of times off of that, but when it comes to having a woman that respects me, when it comes to actually having relationships that I feel empowered in, when it comes to feeling in my own power, like I'm on my own path and like enjoying my life, none of those things existed. I've never gotten to the degree of fucking Jenna Marbles' boyfriend Julian there, right? Of like literally neutering myself and removing my penis in a way. But my masculinity took a hit for sure, right? Because I bought into this fucking myth of this egalitarian relationship, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. So that's what these women invest in, honestly, is they invest in pretty much trying to feminize boys as much as possible. That's what they're doing there, and they do it through like covert contracts and just like this toxic relationship. And I
Whole
don't know if you've
system.
ever read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, but that's a phenomenal book to understand what these women do to their boys in a way.
I'm reading that
Like,
right now, actually.
yeah, they create these monogamous relationships with their boys so that their boys will never actually have a true connection to another woman other than their
Right.
mother. Their mother is supposed to be their monogamous relationship.
Right. My mom
So,
tried that on me.
of course, that's the problem with a woman raising a boy, is they will always do that.
Right.
It's like I don't know if you're a big Game of Thrones fan, but that's what Cersei did with her boys, and you guys can see how that turns out. Did you know? I have a question here in the chat. I'm the Nine says, Corey, did you know it's actually unlawful for you to pay for things with our currencies because you can't pay for a debt with a debt, and our money's based on debt? Huh? Okay, I got you. Patrick Knott says, I burned through half my life and 2 marriages thinking like that. Not anymore. Good for you. I'm glad you finally woke up. A lot of guys
Yeah.
go out there and they think getting married is going to be like, the next day you're going to wake up and you're going to piss fucking rainbows and, a unicorn's going to show up and all this other stuff. And it's not that way. It's like, it's actually far worse. It's quite the opposite. I've never been married, so I can't exactly say what it feels like, but I've watched a lot of guys in the military get married, a lot of my buddies, and I'm just like, yeah, that's fucked. That sucks. That
Yeah,
sucks, man.
you want to definitely be careful. You want to if you want to have a family and get married, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you are gonna have to be the one who does the shit testing,
Oh, for
and
sure.
you're gonna have to put her through the ringer. And I totally think that should be our strategy. You know, for a
Absolutely.
year and a half, year and a half, 2 years, however long it takes, put her through the ringer. You know, and make sure she's not one of these progressive girls.
I'm a
These
big fan
feminine.
of, the only thing that you can really do here in the States right now. A lot of people are like, oh, prenup. I think there's a lot of ways around it, but a private marriage is probably one of the best ways. I haven't looked into that too much. I don't know where you could get a private marriage here in the States.
Private marriage, I never heard of that.
Yeah, look into it. See
Huh.
if that's possible.
So you don't go through the state?
Yeah, it's instead of it being because the problem with marriage today too is this, right? When you get married, you're bringing the state into your relationship. It's
Mm.
literally like you have a middleman there, and that's why women really are pushing for marriage today. It's a means of saying you're literally forfeiting half your shit to me. Like, and there's this guy over there that has these guns and these cages, and he'll come in and he'll literally take all your shit, right? So it's crazy. All right. I'm the Nine keeps promoting this movie. It's called Straw Man: The Nature of the Cage. For your own sake, gents, watch it. I'm gonna watch it. I promise you. All right. I'm gonna remember that.
You seen
But yeah,
the Red Pill movie?
yeah, with that chick.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Boo.
Well, you didn't like it? I thought it was pretty
No,
good.
I actually own it. I think it's what I consider red pill light.
Mm.
And paint me a fucking misogynist, but I can't trust a girl who's a feminist coming in here and trying to paint it as though she's this kind of like moral authority on this stuff. Does that make any sense to you?
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
see I
I see
see
what
the
you're saying.
slippery slope of her just trying to gain um, gain notoriety.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what a lot of people are doing today because we live in such a fucking a social world now with all this social media. Um, people that are crying for attention will now go and they'll do these kinds of things in order for them to kind of gain the notoriety. But and I don't think that her intentions, like again, like I just don't think her intentions were that pure. Do I think she learned some stuff from it? Absolutely, but I don't know, man.
Yeah. I don't see. Yeah. I'm with you there in regards to her. I see these women who are like political pundits. Who are
Mm,
these conservatives like
right.
who are some of them? It's that white girl, that blonde white girl.
Tommy Lahren.
Well, her too. Oh, I can't think of her name.
I know who you're talking
Lauren
about.
Southern.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
I just can't. I've
She's
never
a
watched
feminist at
them.
heart too. I think. I
No,
think she's a
well,
feminist at
she
heart.
might be, but I
Yeah.
never I don't take credence in
Sure.
anything they say. I never watch their stuff because men are objective.
Uh huh.
They see things, facts and all that,
Mm.
and women they're just conformists, and they just go with the trend and you know what serves them
Yeah, I don't
at
I
the
don't
certain
know.
junction.
Well, the thing that kind of started to call into question because I was actually like I wouldn't say a Lauren Southern fan, but I was like, okay, maybe that's like one woman that I would even consider, um, like red pilled in a way.
Mm,
But then, you hear all these rumors that she's banging black dudes and like banging her
yeah.
black security guard and she got pregnant from this guy or she like is banging this like super rich millionaire and's having his kids and that's why she did all this stuff. It's like at the end of the day, she's a woman and she's optimizing her hypergamy.
Right.
Like you can't you can't trust that. Like and that's all I'm trying to
Exactly.
say.
Exactly.
Like this girl shot her shot of maximizing her hypergamy and she did
Hmm.
so by kind of like getting into the red pill and being like, "Oh,
Right.
I'm one of you." And I
Right.
don't trust any woman that tries to become a red pill groupie. And I even
Right.
call them out quite a bit on Twitter.
I'm with you there in regards to her, but I enjoyed the video or the movie
Yeah,
because
I
I
think
mean I like the men
I saw it a long
it
time
had to
ago.
say. Yeah.
I gotta watch it again for me to
Yeah.
really take that away. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anything that we didn't talk about today that you want to talk about?
Um. Well, I think we're close to the end. Let's should we talk about solutions?
Yeah, feel free. I mean,
Yeah.
let's make it quick, but sure, absolutely. I love
Well,
solutions.
I think that I have four things that I think men should do these days.
Perfect. Let's hear it.
Young men should learn a skill, maybe two, maybe even three.
Mm,
Go to the internet. Internet's free. Find a skill, learn it. Go to trade schools. Don't go to university.
mm-hmm.
Find a mentor. Get a skill and then work on that skill for at least 10 years. If you're 20, don't don't uh, pursue women. Just focus on that skill. Um, find some income streams. Do that
Sure.
and build yourself up. Um, What do you think about that?
No, listen, I agree up to a certain extent. So I think what you're trying to say is just don't make women your priority, right? Don't make them,
Right. Right.
and not even that, don't make them the center of your life. That's kind of
Sure.
how
Yeah,
I
you can
was in my
date. I'm
20s.
not saying that. I'm not
Right.
saying don't date.
Date,
Yeah.
date and learn game. Like absolutely learn
Yes.
game.
Yes.
Game is continuous. You need to game. But the thing is, you need to make you the number one. There's too many
Right.
guys that are just looking to fucking get married and settle down and have kids and thinking, okay, I've reached the fucking end of the road. Like game over, happily ever after. And that's a fairy tale. It's bullshit. Some other skills that I really highly recommend for guys is this. I love the trade aspect. I really do love the trade aspect. 100% on board with that. And look for a trade that's up and coming. Like I think we're still going to see some growth in solar. I think we're going to see a lot of different types of things as far as like clean energy is concerned. Buy into that because that the greenies are going to fucking go head over heels for that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I also am a huge proponent of martial arts. I believe that people should be doing jujitsu, especially. That's huge. But I'm also a big fan of sales jobs. And I'll tell you why. Most people are scared of sales jobs. Most people are scared of sales. There's nothing more entrepreneurial than learning how to sell. And it ties into everything that we're talking about. Like you learn how to read people. You learn the game. Like if you're not gaming women, like at least in sales, you're learning you're learning the game of how people interact and how people trade value. It's crazy. So those are some other things too. And I'm definitely a huge fan. Like the fact that you just said, do not go to university. I think that needs to be the biggest movement of the manosphere. Honestly, I think we need to create like a fucking red wave of people just saying, no more university. No one is going to university, especially like for the next 10 fucking years, right? Watch that fucking whale, that monolith dry up because it is the safe haven for all these people. Once people stop going, no more federal fucking monies will go to it. No more fucking tuitions. These things are going to have to fucking close down. And the more we promote that right now, the better it will be, I believe. Yeah, big fan of solutions too. The next thing too, guys, is get out there and work out and lift weights. Focus on your diet and focus on building muscle. When you have more muscle, when you have more testosterone, honestly, you're not going to be you're going to be less susceptible to becoming a little bitch, right? Eat meat, eat a healthy diet, go work out, go to the gym, build your finances, and continue to game. Don't get married. Don't go nutting in any of these girls. Don't get them pregnant. And wait till you're fucking, if you want to settle down a little bit later in life, it's okay. You can as a man, and you should. That's it. That's all I got. Anything else you want to add to it?
No, I don't.
Cool.
I think also that men should not buy a house. I really don't think not first. And this propped up housing market is. I mean, it's too expensive. You're paying property taxes for public schools that you probably won't use. Stay minimalistic. Find a place to suit your needs. It's this housing market's going out of control, and something needs to be done about it. And
it's going to change.
It'll change. It'll change terribly, and we're all gonna pay for it.
You guys should do what I'm doing, and I say this not to be a asshole, but I think that what you guys should do is if you want to spend your money and own something, own an asset where you're getting a passive income. So buy a duplex, buy a triplex, buy a fourplex or more. The more doors, the better, right? And become a fucking property manager. Like be a live-in property manager. And if you do that in your 20s and early 30s, it's going to be insane. You guys would make so much passive income, and you're gonna watch your asset appreciate as well, especially if you're there taking care of it yourself too, instead of hiring a property manager. And that's what I do. That's what I do right now. So buying a single house for $600,000 is not a very smart thing to do. You know what I mean? That's gonna take up way too much of your income just for one thing that's gonna maybe make you $30,000 if you really take into consideration property taxes and all this other stuff. It's not smart. You're absolutely right. I love the fact that you brought that up. Now, I have to get going, but where could these guys find you in order to watch some of your content, maybe even contact you if need be, or just to bolster up some of your numbers on social media.
Yeah, sure. I'm on YouTube. It's just search Party One on there. I'm also on BitChute, and I'm on Twitter. Just I think it's Party of 106. I think that's what my handle is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can find me there. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. And are you open to joining John Fitch and I at 9:30 on Sunday? I think it's your noon 30, 12:30.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll try to make it that.
All right,
To that. Yeah.
sweet, sweet. So if you guys are listening right now, hey, we'll talk offline. If you're not comfortable doing that, feel free to say no. It's okay. But we'll talk about that off air. But as for now, John Fitch and I will be live at 9:30 on Sunday with Red Pill Smash Bros again. And if Party of One wants to be on there, he'll be there. With that said, guys, amazing show today. Very glad and thankful to you for coming on air. This is your first podcast appearance, and it's kind of a little awkward, but at the same time, really cool. So thank you. And with that said, guys, I will see you guys at 9:30 on Sunday. See you later.